It happened in less than 3 seconds. The screech of tires, the blur of headlights, and a young girl's desperate choice that changed 2 lives forever. 17-year-old Lila Carter had just finished her late shift at a small diner off Route 19. The sky was ink black, the kind of quiet night when the world feels asleep except for the hum of engines on empty roads. She was driving home, exhausted but hopeful. Her college application had gone in that morning, and for the first time in years, she dared to dream of something better. Then, out of nowhere, a figure stumbled into the road. She didn't think. She reacted. She swerved hard to the right. The tires screamed, and metal met oak in an explosion of sound and pain. If you believe true kindness always finds its way back, please tap the like button now and subscribe to support more stories like this. When Lila opened her eyes, the world was sideways. Her car was crushed against a tree, airbags deflated like wilted balloons. Her wrist throbbed, glass glittered on her skin, and her vision blurred from tears. Through the cracked windshield, she saw the man she'd swerved to avoid, standing there, trembling, but alive. He was older, maybe in his 60s, wearing a tailored coat and holding a briefcase that had burst open across the asphalt. Papers fluttered like white birds in the night wind. He rushed toward her, face pale with disbelief. "Don't move," he said gently. "Help is coming." Lila tried to speak, but the words tangled in her throat. She wasn't worried about herself. She was worried about the car. Her mother's car. The only thing they had left after her dad's passing. Insurance had lapsed 2 weeks ago. She knew this crash meant one thing. Their fragile world was about to collapse. 2 days later, Lila woke up in a hospital bed with her mother holding her hand. The doctor said she'd broken her wrist and had a mild concussion, but she would recover fully. The relief was brief. The car was totaled and the diner had already hired someone to cover her shifts. A soft knock came on the door. It was him, the man from the road. He introduced himself as Thomas Hale, his voice calm and deliberate, like someone used to being listened to. He explained that he'd been distracted that night, dropping his phone, and had stepped into the road without looking. "You saved my life," he said, looking directly at her, "and I intend to return that favor." Lila shook her head, tears welling. "You don't have to. I'll figure something out." Thomas smiled faintly. "Maybe. But sometimes kindness deserves to be carried forward." A week later, a tow truck arrived outside Lila's small home in Willow Creek. But instead of hauling away the wreck, it brought a brand new sedan, deep blue, with a silver bow on top. Her mom gasped, covering her mouth in shock. Inside the glove box was a note for the girl who chose compassion over fear. "Keep driving forward. TH." But Thomas Hale's kindness didn't end there. Lila soon received a letter from the Hale Foundation, a charitable trust she'd never heard of. It was a scholarship, full tuition, books, and housing for any university she wished to attend. At the bottom, Thomas's signature again, followed by a handwritten message. "Don't let one night define your limits. Let it define your strength." Lila wept. For the first time since her father's death, she felt the universe had seen her struggle and answered. Years later, on a warm spring morning, Lila stood at a podium wearing a graduation gown. The crowd applauded as she received her degree in social work. Thomas Hale sat in the front row, older now, his once dark hair silver. When the ceremony ended, she found him near the edge of the stage. "You changed my life," she told him, voice trembling. Thomas shook his head. "No," he said softly. "You changed mine. You reminded me what humanity looks like." He explained that after the accident, he'd re-evaluated everything. His business empire, his money, his purpose. The man who once cared only for profits had started funding scholarships for underprivileged youth across the state. "You saved more than just my life that night," he said. "You saved my soul. We'd love to hear your story. What is the most memorable act of unexpected kindness you have witnessed or received? Share it in the comments below." Years later, after Thomas passed away peacefully, Lila visited his grave, a simple stone beneath a blooming oak tree. She laid fresh wildflowers beside it and whispered, "I hope I've made you proud." As she walked back to her car, she looked up at the sky, feeling a quiet peace wash over her. Some debts, she realized, can never be repaid in full, but they can be paid forward. And sometimes, the smallest act of courage in the darkest moment becomes the spark that lights someone else's way. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to help us spread more stories of real kindness and hope. Because every act of goodness, no matter how small, has the power to change a life forever.